Today is Friday, October 1st, and I'm standing about a quarter of the way up to Pico, looking back down toward the cabin. That is the pine tree that was always kind of an indicator when we were on our way up. If you look over here, there's the stone wall. So the cabin is probably maybe about 75 yards down that way. So I've come up the old path. Off this way is the higher elevation of the loading dock or loading area down below. So if you can imagine a skidder coming up from the loading area and then taking a sharp right, like a 90-degree right, and come down this way and kind of going across the property. And then it looks like, I haven't gotten there yet, it looks like it continues up toward Pico that way. So this, I can actually see, I don't know if I can show you the roof of the cabin. No, but I can see the roof of the cabin right there. So we're very close. This is actually a little better than I thought, because if I get past this area, it looks like the path continues straight up toward Pico. I highly doubt that it's going to be that easy, but that's it for now. So I was just filming down in that area, and I navigated my way up through here. I can't explain what this is like to walk on. It's really not passable. Maybe an ATV or a skidder. This is going to have to really deteriorate quite a bit, maybe a year or more, before you could just, step up here and walk to Pico. So I think I'm going to go back this way toward the loading area. And I just wanted to show you what you run across when you head up a skidder path. You don't know if it's going to be the end of it or the middle of it. And this looks like it's the end. But again, I wouldn't be able to make that. So heading back this way. As I'm heading back to the loading area, I can see here, this is what I was hoping for. It's not impassable, a little challenging. I kind of thought it would be more uniform like this. I'm not disappointed. You can see, well, maybe not with the camera, but you can see how much, you couldn't walk here before the cutting. And really not going to quibble over brush, because that goes away. You might be able to hear the street down in that direction. All right, I'm back to it. So this appears to be kind of a crossroads or convergence of skidder paths. I'll show you from where I was filming before. That was way down, probably right around there. All right, so look at that pine tree. That thing is huge. I was talking to Bill about why he didn't take the pine tree. And he said, and it makes sense, when you're doing business with a hardwood mill and all you have is one pine tree, you're basically not going to get any money for it. So why not let it now sit in the sun? Back toward the cabin. You can see the leaves are turning a little bit, like right there. But down towards the street where the forest is more thin, they're turning quite a bit brighter and quicker. Wow, this is something. This must be the cross where Marty went up to the ridge. I'm not game for that, but it's good to know it's here. It's almost like the width of a street. And that's interesting. There's a stone wall coming down and ending right about there. And he chose that for the end of the street, I guess. And if I head over toward this hill, there at the bottom is the loading area. And you can see the stone wall. At the point he was up here, it probably wasn't even a stone wall anymore. But as this was farmland, I'm assuming that's how they kept areas segregated. I know that there was cattle here. I don't know what, but I've read in the history of industry that this whole area, all of the land, was farmed. How they farmed on a hill like this, I just don't understand. You can see the skidder also has a serious problem getting up here. There's another stone wall. So this stone wall must have at one point come straight across here, picks back up over there. I would love to see some drone footage of what the heck we're looking at, because it will probably make sense from the air. And you can see the view over towards Starks there. Now, if the trees weren't so tall in front of the cabin, that would be our view from the deck. But the trees on the land that used to be the Schlomings have grown 60, 70 feet, and you can't see through them. So that's that. Now, over here would be Bannock, but the trees are in the way. So I'm going to head down here. I don't know if I'm going to go to the street or try to head over to the left to the cabin. I'm going to go to the street just to see how steep this is. I don't know if you can judge the terrain through the lens of the camera, but turn and look back up here. How unimaginably steep this is. I'm just a few feet down from the last video, but I thought it might be interesting to show some of the stumps that are left, kind of the scope of the operation. This grove of trees right here, you can see there's a skidder path here and here. In there is where Sue found the circular stone structure. I actually haven't looked at it yet, so if it has any interest, I'll turn the camera back on. So this is the loading area from up above. There's where the circular stone structure is. Haven't looked at it yet. This is like a 45 degree slope right here. It's actually going to take a bit to walk down it. It probably looks flat on camera. But if you can see remaining wood, that is there to stay. I've offered it to Mr. Burpee and some of the other folks that have been helping us out. Of course, it's green. It really won't be burnable for another year. But they've all feigned interest in it. There's a very interesting, I guess it's a piece of art, I'll call it. The Marty Ryan, the logger, left us with it's amazing. But I'll take a picture of it a little later in the video. Here's the stone structure. I can see it clearly. I'm coming at it from the back, and it has like a horseshoe shape. And you can see it's very, very intentional. goes around, not a stone wall. It's some sort of maybe there was a garden or something, but this is actually very deep. And this goes up probably about 8-9 feet from the base of it. They left a lot of quality trees here. All right, down to the bottom. So the loading area is starting to come along nicely with grass. Bill the forester planted this a couple weeks ago, and that's a skidder trail we haven't looked at yet. So here it is. The hay is serving like 3 purposes: to keep the birds away from the seed and help the land dry up a bit, and to protect the grass. I guess he didn't feel it necessary here, or too much work. I got to figure out how to get this. I don't know if you can tell. This is like almost like a swamp, like one stage away from being a swamp. So I got stuck right there a couple months ago, on foot, that is. I think I'm going to head off this way, but then maybe this way. If you hear back from me, it means I made it. Well, I made it. Here is that remaining woodpile and Marty's sculpture. So I don't know if the size of this will transfer on camera, but this is probably about 1,000 pounds. And you can't, you cannot budge this thing. And I think it's kind of a joke. I think he left it here just to be funny, but it is amazing. I'll sell it on Facebook Marketplace. There you go. So the green wood that's available, just kind of interesting for the size of it. The scope of the operation, you can kind of get a feel for how old these trees are. I think the whole thing is absolutely fascinating. This is where all the heavy machinery was parked. And where the hay is where Marty parked that big grabber pincher device that literally just pulls trees out of the ground. So here we are out onto the street. I'll turn around so you can kind of get a feel for the entrance. It's pretty grand. Probably about 25 feet across here. So this is what you see when you drive in. And that will dry out. I've talked to the forester about it. And they even made an irrigation ditch in the back that will eventually encapsulate that water and bring it out. It's improved probably by 50% in the last month. So that's what I walked down. And there's the logging permit. You know, it's funny, I'm kind of sad it's over because it was so exciting to just see and hear all the activity in an area that has been so desolate. And it's only going to improve the forest. So 20, 30 years from now, if it's harvested again, it will do even better. So this is Skip's old property here. And looking up toward the cabin. Apologize for the cars. I'll wait. Yeah, that's not unusual. So this is the opening. This is where RVs will park. This is where structures will be built. Maybe Sam will build a foundry here. It's been discussed. So we're calling this Joe's Cove. And Shirley and Joe are very excited about that. I'm thinking about putting a sign, like one of those street signs. I think that would be pretty funny. So that's it. You can see the property is really untouched. I was kind of hoping that they would cut in here, but it's just too rocky. You can actually probably see how rocky it is. I don't know. And this large gully there, be almost impossible. So these are the trees that hinder our view of Bannack. And just for some frame of reference here, I don't know if you can see through the camera, but Bannack does this right through there. And from other areas in the road where you can see Bannack, it's breathtaking. So I'm really hoping as the years go by that these trees come down. I can see some of them are already dying, but that's been like that for 10 years. I would love to have these trees down.